Ooh. Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And Jigga Wild 2.
And wubble elbow dub dub. Rick and Morty is back. Season 4, baby. Rick and Morty, season 4, all the time. 200 years, Rick and Morty.
Which means we're in extreme pain. Apparently that's what wubble elbow dub dub actually means.
You know how long it's been since we've talked about Rick and Morty?
Since the end of season 3?
Well, yeah, but we were still going under the Tiki's Universe banner for our recaps. And yeah, we've pretty much kind of homogenized everything on the channel since then. It's just like, who cares about titles for series? We're just going to talk about what we want to talk about. Darn it.
Yeah, no more stupid names.
In a box. A Meeseeks box, if you will. All right, guys. So yeah, season 4, episode 1, Edge of Tomorty, Rick die. Rickpeat. What do we all think, gentlemen?
Dragon?
Well, I liked it. Thought it was I thought it was kind of a nice kind of palette kind of adjuster, getting back into Rick and Morty. Is kind of like, yeah, it's like getting the sense of like what the season's going to be like. They're back in the saddle. They're doing the Rick and Morty thing. It it was pretty funny overall. I mean, probably not the best one they've done, but it definitely felt like. Let me put it this way: this feels like them setting a tone for. We've heard what people like about the show 3 seasons in so far, and we've shuffled some things around. We have the story we're telling, but also we're hearing what people are responding to, and we're trying to throw a few bones their way, and I think that comes across in the episodes.
Yeah, to me, it's almost kind of like a really meta sort of like, hey, remember the end of season 3 when they were going on about like, oh, it's going to be, just like season 1, but with some continuity and, but still a throwback to the good old simpler days. That's kind of exactly what this was, right down to Rick and Morty commenting about how that was what was going on. And so for me, I'm with you, Dragon. Go ahead, Jacob. Sorry.
All right. I thought it was an overall solid episode. I think it was better than some of the stuff. Like, better than a few things from season 3 overall, but I mean, it doesn't reach like the highs of the previous season. But it establishes like Dragon said, it shows that Rick and Morty is back, and it's like hopefully better than ever. Like, I have a few grievances with this episode, and like I don't think it was as strong as it could have been, but. Then again, I mean, it's definitely not as bad as it could have been either. I mean, there's a lot of things that could have gone wrong, as it always does with anything, especially with this show. So, but it definitely was a solid. I'd give it definitely a solid opening.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this. I don't know. It's interesting. I haven't gone back and rewatched a lot of season 3 episodes, but to tell you the truth, I mean, season 3 in general kind of. I don't know. I feel like season 3, it wasn't a terrible season, but I feel like it was a season where a lot of people kind of like the show maybe sort of lost that new car smell a little bit where, all right, it's like, we're trying stuff out. It's, some stuff's working, some stuff isn't. We're kind of going in a more continuity based direction. Season 3 definitely had some real stinkers of episodes for me. Like I really didn't care for the Mad Max episode. The episode with with Rick and the Saw setup with the Avengers, that was kind of just okay.
The Vindicators, like the Guardians of the Galaxy parody, not Avengers.
Right. Okay, noted. So there's a lot of episodes in season 3 that I really think are just okay, and this is good. It's not great. I think that it's probably the weakest of the 4 season premieres. But it does get back to what the show is best known for, which is just kind of like that, taking one really high concept idea for an episode and just kind of playing around with it, which is, that's what season 3, when season 3 was at its best, that's what we were doing. Like my favorite episode of season 3 is the toxicity episode. And that was really kind of a very interesting sort of sci-fi take on that.
I can't prove it, but I'm pretty sure he gave us a new Paul Rudd show on Netflix. But
right.
Hey, remind me, so the opening season 2, that was the whole like we kind of divided dimensions. That was the
yes.
Okay, yes. I just want to make sure it wasn't okay. I'm tracking what our start places were. Okay.
Yeah. And this episode actually reminds me the most of that episode because we've got a similar device where the narrative is kind of like breaking off, like the future or the death crystals. We kind of have a similar sort of visual motif with the death crystals, seeing the perspective of the different ways that you die, and that sort of being the visual draw of the episode. Literally kind of moves the plot forward.
Yeah.
A lot of death. I mean, a lot of death.
Wouldn't be a Rick and Morty episode without a little bit of death.
Okay, can I just say one thing regarding the thumbnail here?
Yes.
Am I the only one that doesn't care about evil Morty?
Well, he's not evil Morty. What are you talking about?
Dragon, this is exactly why I don't care about evil Morty, all right? Because I feel like evil Morty is one of the things that the fan base just absolutely obsesses over, and people cannot stop fucking talking about, like, this guy right here literally being evil Morty.
Well, he's not evil Morty.
I know he's not. I know he's not. Hence my frustration.
This seems kind of like a moot point, Tiki. Are you saying people are just like theorizing like crazy over this new guy?
I'm saying it's exactly the same type of thing that sort of killed the movie Us for me. It's like I feel like when people theorize too much about a specific thing, I'm just like, all right, guys, now you're just literally looking for any string of anything to go along with your little fan theories.
You gotta remember the thing with evil Morty. I think the reason there's such kind of like a devotion, such kind of like a
I honestly don't get what's so fascinating about evil Morty. I really don't get it. I think evil Morty's cool, but I don't think he's worth like obsessing over.
Well, you're right. No, it's not worth obsessing over. I'm saying I think the kind of the popularity is the fact of he was kind of like the big. But they used them sparingly, and he kind of made a surprise comeback, and that's why Evil Morty's kind of been because it was just such we've seen Rick kind of go off the rails when they introduced kind of it was kind of the rug pulled out from under. You think it was an evil Rick the whole time, it was actually secretly an evil Morty, and of course we bring him back. We did bring him back in a really cool way, and that was to me the two best episodes of season 3. I think were pretty simpatico on. Where the rest in Ricklax. Darn it! What was
rest in Ricklaxation?
Yes, it was Ricklaxation. All right,
and Ricklantis mix up.
Yes, those are the two winners for me. Those are the two biggest kind of like gets of season.
Interesting because like Rest in Ricklaxation is like classic Rick and Morty, and then Ricklantis mix up is like Rick and Morty totally breaking the formula.
Exactly.
So it's interesting that those two kind of rose to the cream of the crop.
And that's why people are obsessing over it because again it was such like a genius move to bring him back like that. And people just wanted to see that story continued, and that's why they're probably obsessing over it because they want to see it. But basically, what they're not grasping is like, guys, they're going to get to it when they get to it. They have a whole bunch of seasons already. Okay,
exactly.
They will get to it. I'm sure it's going to be good.
And this is an evil Morty, a fascist Morty, not.
What I'm saying.
It's just fascist Morty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it's just like literally every Dragon. I'm not exaggerating when I say that literally every YouTube video that I've seen analyzing this episode at least mentions like, oh, is this fascist Morty evil Morty? Dragon, I swear to God, it's like one of those fucking videos we were talking about last night with the thumbnail with the stupid red circle. That's the equivalent to what we're dealing with.
Yeah, it's the red circle videos. Oh god.
God, the dreaded
10 things you didn't notice.
Did you know that fascist Morty is evil and evil Morty is also evil? Mind equals blown.
Secret Easter eggs that confirm evil Morty's in this episode.
Exactly. I'm not even. That's exactly what. All right. I'm done talking about it. I just want to vent. All right. Anyways, so let's talk about the death crystals, guys. Set it up. Who wants to set it up?
You know me. I'm. I love the gadgetry. I love kind of the kind of the world building stuff we do on Rick and Morty, and I love the I love the death crystals, more specifically how the death crystals are used. The death crystals do not just kill you by touch. It's not kryptonite for everybody. It's not that sort of thing. Basically, death crystals.
It's an ambiguous name.
So upon touch of death crystals, they allow you to see. Basically, they give you it's the end game effect. It's kind of the Doctor Strange effect. You can see all the ways you potentially die. And if you're smart, like a Rick Sanchez or like a very astute buyer, you're going to be able to
certain death, certain death, certain death, not certain death.
basically, if you're
certain death, he's coming for me. There's absolutely no way I can get out of the situation, and now there is. All right.
Point being, the death crystals have more than just like kind of the fortune telling. Basically, it's kind of like a fool's gold effect in that you think you think you're gonna be able, like if you obsess over one specific death or way of death. If you only have like one death on your focus on, then things are gonna go. Things are gonna go very south for you. Again, it's kind of like the fool's gold story. But if you're smart, you're gonna be able to use in all these really cool ways that we see. Where again, like you can win a gunfight if you have a master upgrade. Okay, well, you have all this. All of this is certain death except for this point right now, and I can shoot. Therefore, is my little opening. And kind of the 14 million reality is the one that we win sort of situation, if you will. And also, I love just kind of the I love the. How we're crafting fate. Here's the thing that really impressed me in the episode. I think it was the most impressive element of the episode. I had no idea this could have gone either way. How we can craft certain fates by basically we have these kind of these crafting fate design sentences where basically you're coming up with a sentence to say in the moment, but you're kind of figuring it out. But it's going to be the perfect sentence. It's going to get you out of a situation.
Right.
I thought that was ingenious. Cause I was more like basically Morty's just trying to sound out and basically going by like trying to like to do math using the crystals, which is never going to work. And then later on he's just he's on trial. I love it when he's on trial, and I love just this. God, it's just so ridiculous. I just love how he just says the perfect thing to get him off with the judge. Versus, I will always remember the time in Peru. I will always
remember our time in Peru.
Love you, little sparrow. And of course, like him figuring it out.
Condor.
Initially, the way I thought it was going to go was going to be they're going to like plead mental incompetence with him. Just like, see what my client's doing here. I thought,
right.
But no, it was absolutely like I thought it was going to be like a kind of a political joke of like, no, we can't hold him responsible for his actions. But no, it was much more clever than that, and just him like divining a sentence through kind of the fate of the crystals. Because obviously, if he's going to die of old age, then he can't go to die in prison. Therefore,
Right.
So, yeah. So, and of course, the whole fate I love the fate compass device, where basically, in finding a path where like he'll go certain directions based on the fact if he turns left or right, it's going to be all the 14 million realities, or all the different like potential outcomes of his demise versus the one. Of course, he wants to go by. He's guided by the one. So the compass, all the various uses of the death crystals, I think, are awesome.
Yeah, and like I said, that was definitely like the big sort of high concept element of the episode. That sort of I feel like every season premiere has a high concept. Like maybe the pilot, the high concept is just the concept of the show in general, but beyond that, every season premiere, we have the infamous Szechuan sauce, like fake reality thing in the season 3 premiere. We have the multiple realities. Yeah. So this is a good continuation of that for sure. Of course, you want to talk about really quick the change? It's kind of a simple change in status quo, but it gets under Rick's skin of how he has to go about asking Morty to go on adventures with him.
Well, remember, this has been something they set up at the end of last season where now Rick, as they've been saying, Rick is now the low status member of the family. He's like, he's basically Uncle Fester. He's Grandpa now. He's Grandpa Munster in the family situation right now. It's like he's not the main guy. He's like, let's just see what old Grandpa's up to.
Right.
And he's not having any of that, where he lost all his power when Jerry was kind of out in the divorce, and now all that's been reconciled. So he's now subservient technically in the family.
It's definitely going to see how it carries on forward. It's like something that Rick was like trying to prevent, but something he actually himself inadvertently caused to happen.
Yeah, now he has to ask Morty permission these days. Like, oh, God, it's so sad.
If you remember, though, it's kind of his fault that it's even this way to begin with. The way
it is.
The way he manipulated everyone, it actually came back to bite him in the ass.
True. But again, oddly enough, I'm a little it always scares me when I take the side of these characters. But with Rick, I mean, look, Jerry, I'm not
Rick
a
is
Jerry
kind of like an Alan Moore Rorschach thing, where it's like, if you agree with the philosophies of Rick, then you are a bad person.
That's a fact of like, basically, I agree with everything Rick says about Jerry because Jerry I'm not a Jerry fan in this show. And
I know you're not.
Here's the thing. I always feel bad because Chris Parnell must be a nice guy, but I keep hating his characters these days. It's just I feel so bad because I would like to think he's a nice man, but I don't know.
Do you think Paul F. Tompkins is a nice man?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I know he was on Mr. Show. I can't really. I don't agree with his choice of roles, but point being. It's this fact, Jerry just being kind of this guy who weaseled his way back in life, where we clearly see it every which way. Like Jerry's just this self-defeating, just kind of slug of it. We've literally seen him epitomized as a slug. That's what I'm saying. He's just like this wormy guy who literally wormed his way back to the family. He's going to bring it. Like, we know from the little clip of the next episode, he's going to be bringing misfortune upon his head yet again. It's just going to be a whole thing, bro. So I sympathize a little bit with Rick, which scares me. So basically, now what the episode's really getting at, the bigger takeaway with the episode is this little inane bit, as in now Rick just has to go friggin', in the grand scheme of things, as Rick kind of learns through the episodes, like he has to ask permission. That's all he needs to do. I mean, of course, Morty's very malleable. Of course, he's going to say yes.
Yeah.
But exactly. he takes this little inane step in his day that just bugs the crap out of Rick. Actually leads to the slippery slope. As he says, it's going to be a slippery slope. We actually see in the episode, it is a slippery slope of the episode where Morty choosing not to be subservient to Rick in that he doesn't bring him back, leads to just utter Akira-like chaos, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah. You Akira'd my son.
Yeah. I love hologram.
And then on Rick's side of things, oh god, okay, really quick before we get to hologram Rick, on Rick's side of things, when he's going through the Rick Die Repeat, it's essentially kind of like an It's a Wonderful Life type of story where, not necessarily, but it's got kind of a shade of that where he's just like, oh man, I really didn't have it that bad. It's like I have to ask permission to go on adventures with Morty now, but fuck, at least I'm not a Wasp, like horrifically dissecting a teacher at the dinner table.
It's funny. I don't think that was his takeaway, Tiki. I think his takeaway was more so like he found some civility. I love that it was such a violent, gruesome scene, yet there was civility there after that moment there where he's like, oh, well, that's okay, sweetie. Thanks anyway. He's talking to Beth. And I think his takeaway is that, well, at least they're not fascists. After all the fascist realities I keep landing myself into, I think that's where that's what he's saying. Oh, maybe I don't have it that bad after all. Of course, well, we have this poor kind of like caterpillar teacher just being eviscerated. Just the baby's bed is sick and wrong in the right way. Where he spurts out these mustachioed babies, and there's more. He's like, oh, bonus points.
That is legitimately one of the most disturbing things the show has done, probably since Pickle Rick.
Outside that nice little moment of civility amidst all this dark stuff going on.
Just the way that he's just like writhing and just like, kill me.
I'm already definitely afraid of bees and wasps, and this did not help.
Oh, I hear you. I'm the same way. I'm
saying with the way we take out the giant Rick, it's like, oh god, that's that.
I didn't need to say that.
That's what I'm saying. Again, there was a hilarious contrast with the way we killed the teacher, but that thing at the end, that was a line too far for me.
The only reason I didn't mind that as much as I minded the teacher bit is that is definitely the most disturbing image in the episode, but it is just like kind of like a quick flash, it doesn't last very long. The teacher, they fucking dwell on that, man.
Yep. All right, so speaking of, we kind of spoke of the demise of this character, we talked about kind of his lifespan. Hello, Rick.
First of all, I just love the problematic wordplay with Hollow Rick.
Like, what, because I'm not tangible? Is that a thing?
All right, Morty, do me a solid in spite of the problematic wordplay. Yeah, you see? So, according to my world, you ate nothing, Morty.
Like, what, I can't have, this chicken doesn't have any nutrients?
God.
No, but seriously, I love the I love the world building in that Rick has a protocol in case he dies. Basically, we've shown that Rick truly is unkillable in that he's traveled so many worlds, and there's some, of course, the odd infinitum of Ricks, the council, or basically kind of the kind of council of Ricks, and by proxy, so Rick in every parallel universe, and so on and so forth. It's the fact that if Rick dies, he will be cloned in an alternate reality if he's not brought back in his own reality. And I think that's ingenious. I love that the hologram is like a little reminder, like, okay, more. I love the signs where, okay, we do this great thing horrifically for yet another time we've killed Rick very horrifically. Now, bear in mind, the first time we did it had dramatic heft. Where, it was the whole, we just well, turn the screw, Morty. Oh, look. And of course we learned, basically they've escaped. They have, I wonder, how many gimmies they have with the whole universe hopping thing. But point being, did it once, and then in season 3 we had that awesome battle.
Did Rick specifically give we can only do this 2 or 3 more times?
Yeah, he said 2 or 3 more times. But again, a little estimation there. So that's the thing. In terms of we've done it twice already. So they've done it twice. We did it. Then we did it with the squirrel thing. They've done it twice. Oh god,
the squirrels were another example of something that was just totally disturbing.
They've universe hopped twice. And anyway, so then we get to my point. So then, of course, last season, honestly, there were 2 times when Rick had died, and then basically he did that really awesome. One of my favorite gadgets in all Rick and Morty was then he basically, while he's dying or before he's about to die, he injects himself and then he shoots it into another being, and then he's birthed through the other being.
Oh yeah, right.
So technically, he's died a couple times last season. So that thing, Rick dying is not, and of course, all the odd infinitum Ricks. Of course, when he did that at the beginning of season 3, where he basically shot himself into the other Rick, and he took, what I mean. The point being, yeah, he's died a couple times. Still, it's I love that we do it yet again. We're at a little fight with Morty in the cockpit, and of course, impaled, and oh god, what do we do now? And those we have hollow Ricks. Hey, buddy, here's what we're gonna do. Just take a little, inject some, take a little sample of DNA, go to the trunk, and basically make the clone. So I love it. It's genius, and of course that contingency of all the other realities, just fantastic, and of course all the other realities, most of them happen to be fascist.
Oh god.
Just the string of bad luck. It's he started with all the fascist ones.
I love the Care Bear universe where he just instantly kills himself. Just nope.
God, it's just
the fascist Care Bears.
I mean, pre-Joe,
he's not even going to bother with this one. He's like, that's it. I'm out of here.
Short this side of Jojo Rabbit, the most wholesome you're going to get with fascism.
Oh my god, Jojo Rabbit's amazing.
Really, just how can you make fascism adorable? Well, outside of Taika Waititi, Hitler's probably going to be Care Bear fascist.
I want to point out that Taika Waititi Hitler is adorable, but in the context of the movie, he's still a bad guy, even though he's adorable.
Oh, sure.
I just want to point that out.
Again, there are a number of compelling, Hitlers.
Oh god,
compelling in the fiction.
I'm just saying, talk show Hitler isn't evil. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm saying the Preacher has a really great version of Hitler too. They do it.
All right.
Anyway, point being, our alternate Hitlers aside here. Because remember, folks, the real Hitler, not a nice guy, not a nice man at all. Understatement of the century, but still, real Hitler.
Hot take, Dragon.
Real Hitler, not cool. I'm sure the kids know this by now, but in case any kids are going to the Jojo Rabbit, oh look, a jaunty little romp here. Oh, this Hitler man.
God.
Oh look, hey, this Hitler directed Thor. All right.
Okay, the funny thing about that is I could totally picture a kid watching Jojo Rabbit and getting that exact idea.
That's what I'm saying. Or the Family Guy, Hitler with the brother, Anyway, regardless, so getting back.
You were saying?
Yeah, go on.
I wasn't really saying anything, I don't think.
Oh, sorry. It sounded like you were about to make a point. Sorry.
Point, I think we've gone on long enough about Hitler, so it's...
yeah, we've already been. I mean, it's not like we make any money off this channel anyways, but I imagine if we did, we would have been demonetized by now with all this Hitler talk anyways. Okay, so yeah, just really quick, I love the way the fascism thing kind of escalates, where it starts with the human Rick, and he's like, hey, it's kind of annoying that I even have to ask, but you are down with fascist dictatorships, right?
He's like, yes. You're awfully liberal with those Y's.
And of course, we have this great moment where, fascist, where basically Commandant Morty walks in, and Morty. And Morty here, he's just shouting, "You go where I tell you to!" And he's just like, more, and this epitomizes the same struggle that he's having now. Morty's calling the shots, and again, So yet again, we're showing the same. Basically, again, this is Rick's journey of seeing before he gets to the Wasp revelations. Like, yeah, this is my situation right now, just kind of a little bit more simplified. But yeah, he's literally a Nazi calling the orders right now, calling the shots.
Oh god.
And then with the shrimp body, I love how humble he is. Like, is it that obvious? Yeah, I'm more of a, this. I'm not used to a body like this.
Yeah, the shrimp.
And then at least they're not fascists. And he's like,
I gotta tell you, the shrimp dimension seemed really pleasant.
It did.
Outside of the fascism, of course.
Well, of course. I'm saying initially it seemed really pleasant. Like, oh, look, that's kind of nice. It's
Yeah.
Little fascist shrimp, apparently. Or one could say a seafood platter in World War II. But
I wonder if there's a universe of shrimp Rick and Morty that isn't fascist.
Oh, maybe.
I know there's a universe of people with literal hammers for heads.
Yep.
Because Hammer Morty is one of the best Mortys in Pocket Morty. All right. Anyways, so let's talk about Mr. Meeseeks.
Oh, Mr. Meeseeks.
Mr. Meeseeks might be my favorite concept in the whole show, honestly.
Yeah, I think what was it? Mr. Meeseeks was in like season 1, like episode 5 or something.
I think it was season 1. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Mr. Meeseeks is probably one of the best things coming out of the first season.
And I think the show is smart to like they totally could overuse him, but they don't. They save him for special occasions.
They haven't used him since that episode. They only used him in one episode.
If anything, he's like popped up in the background.
Yeah.
In one of those fucking red circles.
I think he was showed up at like one of their parties or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
He's had an episode, then background stuff, and this is the first like true return to Meeseeks. Also, the Kirkland Meeseeks, apparently.
Oh God, what do you want? The Meeseeks. I am fascinated by like the Meeseeks mythos on the show. I have a theory that they're all like on like a Meeseeks planet, just going about their lives. There's probably like multicolored Meeseeks. I actually heard an interview with one of the writers, and he said that the inspiration for the different colored Meeseeks on Dan Harmon's part, or I think it was Justin Roiland's part. Justin Roiland came up with this. Was the different colored Yoshis in Mario.
Huh.
So I think we're going to see more colored Meeseeks throughout the season. I think that might be something that they're kind of going to cycle in.
Well, we've established
Go ahead. Sorry.
We've established the off-brand one. So again, the Kirkland Meeseeks is red. So basically, other brands. I think it's like a product thing. I think it'll only generate in the little box. There's yes.
It seems that Rick prefers the blue ones.
Well, again, that's the high cut. That's that's the high quality one.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. You don't like the whole idea that they're all just going about their lives on a planet, and then when they, and then when a Meeseeks box is used, they just get like basically like Thanos snapped out of their life into this, and that's just the way their life works,
I mean, look, it's possible. I'm just saying with that whole Kirkland Meeseeks thing, it suggests to me it's entirely product driven. So I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying you're wrong. It could be like an extra step they take where as we pull them from different dimensions, which it's possible, but I don't know.
Uh-huh. All right. Well, I'm just saying, like, my theory is maybe the off-brand Meeseeks are just kind of like lower classes of Meeseeks. It's kind of like maybe a Sneetches style situation. The Starbellies versus the non-Starbellies.
That's a remake I want to see.
Oh God. But all right. So yeah, we get the two instances of Meeseeks. The one where it's like, kill this Nazi prick.
Of course, at the very realistic demise.
Yeah. Just like it's like 5 seconds of chaos, and then
shoot Gearhead. Shoot the Gearhead guy through the face, and then of course there's a little hole in the hole, and just instant like silent vacuum of space death, just terrifying.
Yep.
But I just love the I'm sure it's been talked about to death, but I love Justin Roiland's he's just so like me. The great thing about Meeseeks is that they're so dark but so cheerful at the same time. So he's just like, die, you son of a bitch.
I love the Meeseeks are so positive and goal driven, but again, unless they get to a Jerry situation,
Oh,
where it's going to be someone who's just going to be so incompetent they can't be helped out at all
right.
through anything, that'll be pretty pleasant. And they live for the simple things. Now, something we should talk about the Akira sequence.
Yeah.
So again, Morty basically dispatching with the bullies and everything, just like with the crystal taped to his head.
By the way, that bully is like genuinely like pretty terrifying. Like he's a Stephen King level bully.
So here's the thing: it would have made me brick my pants if I were a kid in that situation. He's referencing Coco and he's making things terrifying. It's like, oh god, he's tainting something I love while he's trying to terrify me.
Well, I don't know. Have you guys actually seen Akira?
No, actually.
Well, look, yes, but I gotta be honest. Story-wise, it's more like you're taking the visuals away from Akira. It's
I mean, I'm not. I'm just wondering if you. I'm just wondering if I was the only one who actually saw it.
I've seen it, but I'm really rusty on it, unfortunately.
I mean, I haven't seen it for like a year or so. But yeah, I can definitely see where they would draw inspiration from Akira for this.
Mm-hmm.
Even though technically it was more Tetsuo than Akira, but you get the idea.
Sure, I'm saying a little bit of that, a little bit of the morphing later on with the whole, basically Morty and the giant, like, Jello thing. Well, like the giant, like, alien. I don't know what the heck that thing was, being swept up in the black goo. No, seriously, what's funny? I don't know if this is just like one of those like circle. Did you notice, or like one of these like internet theories or whatnot? But I don't. It'd be awesome if this were actual. One of these spare bullies, like there are like 3 bullies. Basically, as the sequence gets crazier and crazier, and taking out like all the forces of like the cop, and then the battalion of cops, and then like the army, and as it gets escalates. One of the initial bullies looks. People have noticed looks a lot like Randall from Recess.
yeah.
The kid with like the the weird face, like the elongated face, like less neck, more like just like weirdly shaped face, but he has like longer hair. Like if Randall had more of a mullet, he would be this kid.
Uh-huh.
I think some people say it's a direct reference to Recess, and I'd like to think they're telling the truth, but I don't know. Anyway, but again, like all the gadgets and like all the stuff he used there, I love how he kind of basically diced the cops, but they weren't dead. I love the fact that they weren't dead, but they were they were living, but like their heads were on feet. Everything, they were sliced and diced, but alive and on 2 feet.
Which is actually more disturbing than them actually dying.
It is, and I love it. It's just great. Gonna live, but not well. Should we? Do you guys think Morty's going to get with Jessica at all in the series, or at the end of the season, or what? Given
Not. I think it's just I think the Jessica thing. I've never taken the Jessica thing seriously. I think it's a big like running joke about how superficial people like write relationships in these types of shows.
I think you're right, but I do wonder if there's going to be a thing where maybe for a stretch Morty might be dating her, and that's just going to go south instantly. I don't know.
I'd honestly kind of like it if that'd be kind of interesting if she actually went on an adventure with them, like to see what goes on.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Because remember, we've established hilariously in that Rest and Rick Laxation episode, again, she and Rick, they have like some, they have some fun chemistry together. Basically, what we could do, Tig, is it could be like a whole Jennifer from the Back to the Future situation. Only with
hold on. I'm gonna pitch that. What if it's like a 2-parter episode, and at the end of like the obvious cliffhanger, like Rick is just gonna break the fourth wall and go off like, fucking Morty, I'm your girlfriend. And now we're going to just be stuck with her in part 2, Morty. Part 2 is just going to be all about how we're going to have to drag Jessica's body around, Morty. Great. I hope you're happy, you little shit.
Now, knowing Dan Harmon, as he said many Back to the Future in the Back to the Future documentary they did for the 30th anniversary, he only likes the first one, so I'm sure he would absolutely write something like that.
Oh, God. All right. Let's see. Any other points? I feel like we've covered the episode pretty well already. Any other points we want to make?
I mean, we had the revelation at the end with the whole Jessica gag where Morty's been trying to,
That's exactly why I don't think that, like, Jessica and Morty are ever really going to be in the cards. I mean, if the Rick Potion episode wasn't enough of an indication of that, like, literally, Morty's desires get with killed an entire dimension.
And I tell you, the weird thing is, and
Well, it didn't really kill it. It didn't really kill it. It more Cronenberg did.
Well, definitely.
Yeah, you get what I mean. No, I mean
the weird thing is that every time we check it with Jessica, it seems like she does like Morty, but obviously something gets in the way, and that
asking him to go skinny dipping with her and being very upfront about it.
That's what I'm saying. That's the thing. I mean, she's doing that. You know, she, according to Rick, she was like really obsessed with him when Morty went away. It's like a don't realize what you have till it's gone sort of thing.
Right.
So it's kind of strange. That's why I'm giving like the thought, like, maybe they are going to get together at some point. It's like every time she's always at. But again, obviously we played for a gag. Once it does happen, it'll be short lived or something. I'm sure, but. Point being, of course, this gag that she's thinking of the hospital, and I love that there is a logic to the events here too. Because remember, at the beginning, her grandmother passed away, and of course, by the end, she reveals, since her grandmother passed away, she's thinking about doing hospice care.
Right.
There's a logic there. There's a beautiful line of logic. There's like it's just the ultimate kick in the pants for more. Like, oh man, really?
It's like she's developing a morbid fascination with death.
All right, guys, we should probably get out of here soon. So I didn't see the trailer for next week. What's
Well, they're doing the one they've been really publicizing in the marketing, where basically it's the whole Jerry's developed an app, which just fills me with dread. But yeah.
Oh God, I actually downloaded the stupid Jerry balloon popping app on my phone, and I gotta tell you, it is kind of soothing.
Oh, you son of a!
But all right. I guess final thoughts then, guys. Let's go around.
Well, again, I liked it. I just, again, it's a solid opener. It is. It's a solid. Oh, wait, the big thing we got to talk about before we go here.
Okay.
The big reference of Rick and Morty, like they're both now like in the Szechuan kind of sauce, Szechuan sauce. Kind of like mindset, and of course Summer tries to join in, and they call around like, "Oh man, Summer, I have instant playback. You sicko."
Just talking about sucking each other off and stuff.
Now I'll remind you, the pilot for Rick and Morty was essentially that.
100 years, Rick and Morty all the time.
No, it was them doing the whole. It was Doc and Marty, but it was a whole. There was a fellatio going on essentially. Instead of needing to smuggle the seeds, it was you need to do this more. You need to lick certain things.
Jesus Christ.
The point being, I think it's a deep cut reference to that pilot. I think that's what they're.
I think so.
Okay, regardless, but yeah, it's kind of a fun little inversion of the beginning of season 3, but now it's like they're kind of very meta about it at the end there. Anyway.
All right.
Yeah, Jacob, go on.
I mean, as I said before, I think it was overall a solid opener. Probably not their best work, but also far from the worst they've done. I think a few parts kind of dragged a bit, like the whole I know you really liked the whole speaking through the crystal gag, but I think they just did a few too many times for it to act it kind of wore thin a bit.
I mean, you're not wrong. Oh, but again, I'm sorry, but I also hate Nancy Grace. Just want to get that in there. I can't stand Nancy Grace, and Lovely kind of took a poke at her here.
Right.
I can't stand that woman. I don't care if she's listening. Nancy, I can't stand you. Anyway.
Oh, God.
It was funny the first time, and then it got kind of dragged on, when it dragged on too long, and then some of them could have just been cut down a bit. But it's overall, it was just a fun concept, and just that they had a lot of. That's indication of where the season is going. I mean, it's gonna be a good time.
Yep. Again, pretty solid opener. I was satisfied with it. Let's just see if they can keep up the momentum, keep them coming like this. Again, next week might be a dry spell, but fingers crossed, it might not be. We'll see.
All right, yeah, I quite enjoyed it. Honestly, talking through this episode, I feel like there's more to unpack than I initially gave it credit for. I think thematically the episode is very strong, with the whole free will stuff and everything. Mm-hmm. So that's good. That's good. I don't think it's as much of a gut buster, laugh out loud, funny episode as I was kind of maybe wanting it to be. But I feel like as the show's aging, it is kind of going into a darker direction. And I feel like that's just appropriate. So, all right. Okay, guys, so that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I believe this is the only animated show we're going to be covering for the time being. I don't think Big Hero 6 is coming back anytime soon. I know DuckTales is coming back next year, so yeah. All right. So, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and have a good night. See you guys later.
Wubba lubba dub dub.
My babies!
My
My babies!